Hi everybody, welcome back to Aventus at FRAG-MENTAL. Chris here. The time has come for me to give you my top 10 Creed fragrances. Stay tuned to FM. Creed is one of the most popular niche fragrance houses. They've been established for many years, a couple of hundred years I think. So it's fair to say they've got a bit of experience when it comes to making fragrances, and you can see that in their lineup. There are some fantastic offerings. I was familiar with a few Creed fragrances, but not really that many of them. So over the last few weeks, I've been buying some samples and I've been testing them, and I have to say, I have really enjoyed exploring and discovering all the amazing scents that Creed have to offer. I haven't just been doing this for your benefit, I've been also doing this for my benefit. Part of the reason I started this channel was that as I was learning and discovering new things about fragrances every day, I wanted to share that with YouTube. I thought it would be an interesting premise for a channel. So I'm doing it for my own personal enjoyment, for my own discovery, but I'm also sharing it with you. So let's get going, let's get into the top 10, let's find out which one is going to be my number one Aventus Creed. Just quickly before we get started, I also want to say that all the Creeds in this top 10 are all fantastic. There's not a lot to separate the quality and how much I enjoy number 10 between number 1. So here we go with my number 10, and it is Millisim Imperial. I have all the fragrances sprayed on these tester strips. It's really nice. What I get from this is some lovely fruity opening notes. There's some smooth citruses in there, and there's a slight marine saltiness going on as well. It's a fairly light scent. For me, this one doesn't have the punchiness or the statement grabbing effect that some of the other Creed fragrances have that we'll see also in the top 10, but it's a really pleasant scent. This for me would work really well as a casual scent, particularly as a lighter scent perhaps in the summer. Performance for me on this one is fairly moderate. I get a reasonable hour projection and then around 6-7 hours on the skin after that. This is a very pleasant, refined, versatile scent. It doesn't quite have that bold character and the performance of some of the Creeds higher up the list, but still a very nice fragrance and worthy to be in my top 10. Number 9. I'm sitting on a gorgeous, white, sandy tropical beach, surrounded by palm trees, drinking a cocktail. There's coconut in this cocktail. If you haven't guessed already, this is Virgin Island water. It came out in 2007 and it's a lovely summer scent to me. This also reminds me strongly of holidays because it makes me think of sun cream. Sounds a little bit weird, but the sun cream that I use sometimes on holidays does have a little bit of a coconut fragrance in there. So every time I smell this, it reminds me of applying that sun cream on holiday in the heat in a gorgeous location. So the images that Virgin Island water evoke for me are happy memories of holidays. Performance on this is fairly moderate. I get a decent 1 hour projection and then it's a skin scent for another kind of 6 or 7 hours. Some of the prominent notes to me are of course that beautiful coconut, there's some citruses, and there's a white rum booziness to it. So it's not a dark boozy fragrance, it's a very light boozy fragrance, this one. It's a very pleasant, easy to wear scent, reminds me of holidays and summer and also of cocktails. My number 8 is Silver Mountain Water. This is a lovely aromatic fragrance that really does remind me of that fresh, clean, crisp mountain air. It's a lovely, bright fragrance. It's got some citruses in there. There's some black currant, all on a lovely woodsy base of sandalwood. It's got pretty decent performance for me. I get 1 to 2 hours of projection and then it's a skin scent for a decent 8 hours. Silver Mountain Water is a lovely, bright, fresh, clean, crisp, quite versatile fragrance. Number 7 is Spice and Wood. This came out in 2010 and is part of Creed's Royal Exclusive line, so a little bit more expensive than the usual bottles of Creed. And this one is apparently inspired by the love story of Antony and Cleopatra. This has a lovely bright aromatic opening. There's some citruses and then there's patchouli and cloves and then there's some oak moss and cedar in the base. So you get a lovely bright opening, you get a nice spicy mid all on a base of lovely smooth woods. So really pleasing fragrance to wear. This has a moderate performance. I get a good projection for about an hour and then 6 to 8 hours on the skin after that. As with most of these creeds, this one again is very versatile. You could wear it all year round, and this smells regal, luxurious, expensive and aromatic. It's a gorgeous scent. My number 7, Spice and Wood. My number 6 is a very gentlemanly fougere. This oozes style and sophistication. It's green, it's crisp, it's fresh. It's a classic. It came out in 1985 and it is Green Irish Tweed. For me, Green Irish Tweed is a scent that is worn by the stylish gent, whether that's somebody wearing tweed in the Irish countryside or an urban hipster. It really just does complement someone who likes to have a little bit of style and takes care in their appearance. You've got the dihydromercenol, which gives Green Irish Tweed that kind of classic DNA. You also get that same note used in scents like Cool Water, which has a very similar kind of vibe to Green Irish Tweed. There's also some iris, there's lemon verbena, and there's a smooth, creamy, sweet sandalwood base. So you get a really nice kind of crisp opening, almost that freshly cut grass vibe on a sweet, smooth, creamy base. It's gentlemanly, it's crisp, it's refined, it's elegant, and I love wearing it. Because I'm a stylish gent, right? Number 5 was released in 2005. It's an Oriental Woody, and this fragrance is based on sandalwood. So if you haven't already guessed it yet, this one is Original Santal. The sandalwood in this one is Indian sandalwood, and according to Fragrantica, it's listed as one of the top notes. Usually in a lot of fragrances, or at least in my experience, sandalwood is listed either as a mid or even as a base note, and it's usually there to round out the fragrance, give it some smoother character, particularly in fragrances that have sharper top notes like citruses. While sandalwood seems to be the prominent note in here, you've also got notes of lavender and iris and cinnamon, and what you get is a lovely, smooth, sweet, creamy, woodsy fragrance. So you've got sweetness there, but it's not cloying. You've got depth there because of the woods, and it's just a beautiful fragrance. It's refined, it's elegant, it's easy to wear, and so I'm told it's very pleasing for others to smell. So Original Santal is a gorgeous scent. I can highly recommend it. Number 4, this one came out in 1987. It's said to be inspired by the fragrant trees of Portugal. So of course, yes, this one is Bois de Portugal, and I love this one. Now, one of my loyal subscribers, he's supported me, followed me right from the beginning, is Sergio. Sergio is from Portugal. I would like to know, Sergio, does this remind you of, as you put it, your own backyard? So when you smell Bois de Portugal, does it remind you of your own country? Does it remind you of the fragrant trees that it's said to be inspired by? Just interested. And by the way, I'm hoping to meet up with Sergio in Lisbon this summer. I've got my flights booked, so hopefully Sergio is going to take me around some of the best perfume shops in Lisbon, and we're going to do some sniffing. Bois de Portugal has been described by some as being a barbershop scent, which just means that the fragrance is reminiscent to the smells of the classic barbershop. So powdery smells, shaving foam, herbal smells, and yeah, I get that. There's lavender, which mixes gorgeously with the sandalwood, and then deeper down into the fragrance, I get this lovely sweet resinous character provided by the cedar. It's a gorgeous scent. I really love Bois de Portugal. If anything, maybe it leans a little more mature. I would probably say perhaps 25, maybe 30 plus. But as with all the other creeds, it's gentlemanly, it's refined, and this would just wear perfectly dressed up in a suit or for smart situations. So Bois de Portugal, my number 4. My number 3 is a woody aromatic that came out in 2017, and it is Viking. Creed say Viking is inspired by the craftsmanship of the Viking longboats, of voyaging, of perseverance. I say it's bloody gorgeous. I really love Viking. It's a fantastic scent. It opens with some smooth citruses. There's some lovely creamy sandalwood in there as well. But what this one has, which really gives it its character, it has a mintiness. There's a minty freshness, and right from the opening, that just pings off the skin. The Viking analogy really works for this one, because though it's a gentlemanly fragrance, I also find it to be bold and assertive. I love that minty freshness mixed with the smoother sandalwood. I just think it's a gorgeous scent. And I think this would be worn by the assertive gentleman who means business. Is that you? Number 2. This one came out in 2015. It's classed as a fruity floral gourmand, But I tend to think of gourmands as fragrances that remind me more of sweet desserts, and I find this one fresher and more aromatic than that. This one is Royal Mayfair, and this is one of my favourite Creed scents. It's gorgeous. Even though it's the 2015 release, it was originally composed back in the 30s, I think it was, and it was under the name of Windsor because it was made for King Edward VIII, who was also the Duke of Windsor. And it is said to be a salute to London's sartorial elegance. There's a fantastic review over on Lanier Smith's channel of Royal Mayfair. He goes into a little bit more detail about the history of this fragrance and its connections to the Duke of Windsor. So I would highly recommend checking that one out. In the top of this, you've got notes of gin and lime and pine tree, and then further down into the fragrance, there's some woods and eucalyptus. But for me, it's the pine and the eucalyptus that really give this fragrance its character. And those sharper notes of the pine and the eucalyptus just balance gorgeously with the smoother, sweet notes of the cedar. And combined, it just gives this fragrance a lovely range and complexity. This is a gorgeous scent. It was nearly my number one, very, very nearly. I only made my final decision right before filming this video. That's how close this is to being number one. And not only is it one of my favorite Creed fragrances, I would say it's probably one of my all-time favorite fragrances. My number one came out in 2010. You probably already know what this one is. It's a lot of people's favorite fragrance. It is known as the King because so many people do love it. It is, of course, Aventus. Now, I know Aventus has become so popular that some people choose not to wear it so much these days because there are so many clones, and the scent DNA of Aventus, even though it was groundbreaking when it first came out, it's not quite as unique as it once was because it is being worn by so many people. But I don't think that should take away from the scent itself. I think it's a gorgeous scent. You get a lovely burst of pineapple and blackcurrant, and there's some birch in there, there's some lovely woodsy notes. The key thing I find with this fragrance is that even though it's gentlemanly and refined and it has depth and character and complexity, I also find it to be an exciting fragrance, and that's the key for me, and that's why I think this one has just pipped all the others to the number one spot. I was umming and ahhing between Viking, Royal Mayfair and Aventus, which should go number one because I do love them all. And the other day I was at work and a friend of mine, he's not really that into fragrances, he uses Izumiyaki. It's the only fragrance he's ever had, it's the only fragrance he knows, and I just wanted to broaden his horizons a little bit. So I gave him a sample of Aventus. I thought if he was going to try any new fragrance, I should give him some Aventus to try. And he sprayed it right in front of me there and then, and he was blown away by it. But the thing that got me was that it was great to smell it off somebody else. I'm used to smelling Aventus off me, how it works off my skin, and the kind of scent bubble that I have around me, and you perhaps get a little bit nose blind to fragrances when they're on you. But because he was walking past me, I kept getting his sillage trail. Whenever I was nearby him, I was smelling that gorgeous Aventus scent bubble. And I just thought, yeah, this is an amazing scent. It's got everything. It's got the performance, it's got the character, it's got the exciting element to it. It's refined, it's sexy, it's exciting, it's got fantastic performance. It was a game changer when it came out. And all those points combined for me justify its number one spot in my top 10 of Creeds. Aventus is a fantastic scent. If you haven't tried it, get a sample, maybe even try a clone. But I think Aventus is a great scent for anybody to own because not only is it a great scent, but it's very versatile. It can be used in any situation. It can be worn at any time of the year. It just ticks all the boxes. And for my money, fully deserving of its title as the King. So there it is, my Creed top 10. The research that I've done for this video has taken me on an interesting and exciting journey. I've really enjoyed exploring all these Creed fragrances. Please let me know what you think. Do you agree with my top 10? Do you disagree? Do you have a different number one? Are you sick of Aventus? Let me know. This is a big subject, guys. Creed is a big brand. It's a very popular brand, so let's get a discussion going. Please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell to enable notifications. And until next time, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling Aventus. Good.